whoa, don't buy a home right now. That's what the data is saying. And I'm going to show you what the data is showing as the best time to buy so you're able to get the best deal if you're a buyer. If you're a seller, how to take advantage of the market as well in your favor. Look at this inventory growth separation that we're having year over year. An enormous growth that took place here in 2025 inventory compared to 2024. Now, if we take a look at this article, housing markets shift. So there's 7 states where buyers are gaining leverage. And right here, if we take a look, it says at the end of March of 2025, and we're seeing how much more inventory has grown since March, even more in these last few months than at the beginning and end of March. However, going back to this article, it says 7 states are above pre-pandemic levels of 2019 active inventory levels. Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Idaho, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and the District of Columbia. And if we take a look over here, right here, I have it highlighted. And let me just remove myself. March of 2025, you see it right here. There's 10,896 available homes. In 2024, 7,781, 7,300 in March of 2023, 2,600 in March of 2022, and 2,492 in March of 2021. This is why I've been telling people that we would need inventory levels to substantially decrease in order for those pandemic bidding wars to come, and interest rates would have to drop. So interest rates would have to drop to 3% or 2.5% like they were during the pandemic, and then you'd have to have inventory levels back to this 2,000 units. That's what would be needed in order for home prices to start appreciating $150,000 a year. So right now, the data is indicating that is not going to happen. So anyway, if we take a look at this, right? We see 10,000, 7,000, 7,000, 2,000, 2,000. Then we go to March of 2020, 7,800. March of 2019, 10,190. March of 2018, 8,400. And March of 2017, 8,798. And I did a video a couple of months ago showing that it was March data as well, I believe. We had to go back to 2016 in order to have more inventory than what we have right now. And I'm going to show you where you can time this market, how you can get the best deal, the most money for your house if you're a seller, and when you're buying, how to take advantage of that. And if you're just a buyer, well, then you're going to have an easier time taking advantage of this data because you're not going to have a house to sell. So you don't have to worry about that. Now, when we take a look here, Moody's has downgraded. So this was the last credit bureau that downgraded the United States credit rating as a whole, which means less money is going to be able to be printed and interest rates for that fact went up. Now, going over here, we're seeing that there is 12,000, right? 12,554 units available on the MLS right now compared to 8,967 a year ago. And that's where we're seeing this separation. Now, I'm going to go over the data and showing you how to time that market. Now, before we do that, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button. It'll help me grow the YouTube channel. It'll help you stay up to date with information that you can't get anywhere else. And when you do need a realtor in Utah, my contact information is down below. Give me a call because nobody has your back like Dinko the Realtor. So we're seeing this active inventory growing, and we're seeing essentially almost 4,000 units more than a year ago to end May. Now, right here, we're seeing the number of new listings that are being entered. And here is our blue line this year. So we're seeing more and more sellers are coming to the market than in these years past, which is going to indicate that inventory is going to continue remaining elevated. And the fact that they're not going to be dropping these interest rates, our credit score rating just got downgraded for all 3 credit bureaus as a country, which means to finance the debt, it's getting more and more expensive. Back over here, we're seeing that those inventory levels are increasing every single month and year over year as well. All right. Now, I also do send an email, and here's June coming around at the beginning of each month of inventory growth within the counties. I have it as a whole and then the county. So I'm going to put that link down below in the description, in the comments. Make sure you sign up for that. A bunch of people have. I send that out. That way you see the growth that's happening year over year, given May, April, June now. That way you're able to keep track of the market that you're interested in, the counties. And right here, if we take a look at the active listings, look at this graph right here. If we take a look at the blue line, look how much more elevated the inventory growth is. And right here, I keep saying this, in 2022, right here, you see the inventory growth compared to 2021. In the second half, there was a ton of great deals where home prices dropped upwards of 15%. And we never recovered to the prices that we had in May of 2022. The spring sees prices rebound a little bit, then the second half sees prices coming down. And that's just been the trend since 2022. And in 2022, that downward swing was the biggest one that we had in recent past. Now, in 2025, with this inventory growth, it could be another second half where sellers are going to be cutting prices and buyers are going to be getting the advantage because of the supply and demand. Way more sellers than there are buyers. So if we take a look at that, that's one way as a buyer that you can time the market. Now, if you're a seller, there are things that you can do. You can sell your house, and there's different clauses that you can use to your advantage. So you're selling first, buying second. So you're selling at a higher time of the market, and then you're buying at a lower time. And there's also different temporary leasebacks you can do. There's different negotiating strategies. There's different strategies that you can take advantage of. That way you're not in a rush. So everything is what's the work, what's the effort that you're willing to put in. And give me a call if you are a seller. We can go and brainstorm over that, give you the 2, 3, 4, 5 different options to fit what you're trying to accomplish. And as a buyer, again, you're able to take advantage of this much easier because you don't have a house to sell. Now, if we take a look at under contracts, they are elevated slightly. If we take a look at 2025, here these last few months, under contracts are slightly higher than they were in 2024. However, not enough to compensate for the amount of new listings that are being entered. And that also has not correlated into the number of homes that are sold. If you take a look, the sold data for 2025 and 2024 is relatively the same. We do know that cancellations are running at a higher pace than they were a year ago. More buyers are backing out. So even though more homes are going under contract, it's probably a reason why we're seeing the solds not really being elevated compared to a year ago. And if we go and analyze this data over here, we see that every month, essentially, this year had less, right? 2198, 2311, 27, this one right here was 2700 on both months in February. We see that this year in March was 3160, last year was 3220. We see that April was 3381 compared to 3409. And right now, this is preliminary data of where we're at so far. So this is going to be close to this 3800. So it is, I do believe it's going to be slightly higher. Again, not enough to compensate for the 4,000 almost units that we have more inventory and the amount of new listings that are coming to the market at a higher pace. And if you take a look here, inventory continues coming and being dumped for at least a couple more months at high levels. We also see that under contracts start declining after May. Well, right now we're going to be anticipating that June, July data is going to be showing under contracts also decreasing, which means a bigger advantage for buyers because now less homes are going under contract and they're accumulating more and more days on the market. And that is starting to happen where active listings are starting to accumulate more days on market. Again, the more days on market sellers are accumulating, the more the buyer has the leverage, and sellers are going to start doing more and more price cuts, which we already know, according to some articles, is at a 10-year, a decade high. Now, if you're taking a look here, you're going to see that, let me pull this up. So right here, we're going to go over this quickly. A couple more months left of big inventory dumps. You have active listings that are going to be growing for at least a couple more months. We see that September, October is when inventory levels peak, and we're just entering June, which means June, July, August, and then potentially September into October. So we have at least another 3.5 to 4.5 months of inventory growth left, and we see that we're at much, much higher elevated levels right there when that blue line comes in, which is 2025. And if that continues happening and we end up being at 14,000, 15,000 active homes, you're going to have much more negotiating power as a buyer. Now, I do want to say that if you are very specific with the type of home that you're looking for, it has to be remodeled. It has to check this filter off and that filter off. It has to have a second kitchen. It has to have quartz and granite, and it has to be move-in ready. You're going to want to enter the housing market sooner than later, because once July comes around, I've been saying July is going to be, you see the data, under contracts start declining. That's when inventory has increased substantially. Then it starts not accelerating at that same pace. And if you're waiting for the recession, again, they pushed those foreclosures that were supposed to be taken off April 30th to September 30th of 2025. Every time this deadline comes for these foreclosures, they just kick it down the road for another 6, 9, 12 months. And then these foreclosures also take a couple of months to go through the banking system in order for them to hit the housing market. So essentially, these foreclosures are probably at the earliest going to be coming in 2026, and they don't all come at the same time. So if you're waiting for the recession, you're going to have to maybe wait a whole nother year, year and a half, maybe even 2 years if they continue extending this. So you have to ask yourself, what am I trying to accomplish? If you're going to be buying here in the near future, then you want to enter the housing market between July and November. Now, November is going to give you the best deals, but you're going to have the smallest selection. So if you're willing to put into work, you want to remodel the house, then November is going to be a good time. If you want a move-in home and you don't have the budget for the remodel, then you want to start entering the market between July and September. Follow the data. I'm going to have these videos that are going to keep coming with what the data is doing, how it's changing. But the more filters, I guess, the more picky you are on the type of home that you're looking for, you have to enter the market sooner. If you are less picky and you're willing to do the work, then you can enter the market later, and then you're going to be able to get a better and better deal because less buyers, higher inventory. And that inventory starts decreasing sometime at the end of September, middle part of October, as we enter the colder months and as we're entering the holiday season. Now, again, when you do need a realtor, give Dinko the Realtor a call. I have your back with this data that nobody else has, and make sure you sign up for that email sheet. That way you're staying up to date with the inventory growth in the county or counties that you're interested in.